Alright, boys and girls, quick comparison here because I've had some people asking me about it between the Nintendo 3DS and the PlayStation Vita. Hard thing to do here because you need to have games that are similar, and those are somewhat hard to come by at this point. However, one of the games that you will find that is similar between the two, you have BlazBlue Continuum Shift II, a fighting game, and then BlazBlue Continuum Shift II Extend. Some slightly different features on this version because it's a little bit newer. It's got some updates that have been done for the PlayStation 3 version and so forth, but they do make at least a nice comparison because the graphics should be similar, the cutscenes, the menus, all that kind of stuff should be relatively similar in this case. Alright, so what we have here, go to the menu screen of both. I hit start on both. BlazBlue Continuum Shift II, BlazBlue Continuum Shift II Extend. You can already tell there, you can already tell there's a significant difference in the size of the pictures and the clarity thereof. There's a touchscreen, of course, on the 3DS down here. On the Vita, the touchscreen is the OLED screen, and there's a touchscreen on the back, as my cat provides commentary off there to the side. So let's go ahead and check out the different menus. We're not going to go through everything, obviously, but I just want you to see how many different modes there are on the Vita version because it is Extend. Lots of different options there. 16 options here, okay, 13 options here, more online options for that one and so forth. But that's not really the big difference because that's a difference in the game, not necessarily in the system that you're dealing with. Now I'm going to take the 3DS version. I'm sure the other is going to wind up going into a standby mode, but that's okay. I'm going to switch over here so we get a chance to try out the training mode, and you can see the visual clarity here. I'm going to turn up the sound. I got the sound off on both right now. I'm going to turn up the sound on the 3DS here as I'm shifting between hands. That's as loud as it goes. Okay, which is fine. I'm just saying, that's as loud as it goes. I'm going to go ahead and choose Jin and Bang, or Bang, I guess. Going to choose the same background on each of these and the same music, so it's easy to make a quick comparison. You can sort of see it's playing sort of the, I mean, it's not a bad quality video, but it kind of feels washed out color-wise to a degree for some reason. And here, the game in motion. The bad news on the 3DS version of this game, at least, is you got to control it with the little tiny D-pad down here, and it's not very easy. Not very conductive to quick movements. The circle pad lets you do things like taunt, but that's just about it. Now, one cool thing about the 3DS version is that your move list, you don't have to actually go to a pause menu. It's down here. As you play, you can click through and very easily see all the moves that you'll need. And the standpoint of the face buttons and the shoulder buttons, they're virtually the same size, give or take, at least the way it feels to my fingers. So the only big difference in controls is the fact that you have to use this D-pad, which is not only, turn down the sound, which is not only small in and of itself, but it's also kind of awkward because it's not at all in line with the face buttons. Instead, it's lower because generally you're going to be playing games with the circle pad, just not this one. When you put the 3D effect on, which you won't be able to see here, see I turn it all the way up, all you can do is sort of see that brief shift because it's only going to get one image to this one. Anyway, because it's a camera. Anyway, what you're going to see is these heat bars and the characters stand out in the foreground. Whoa! And then the background recedes at different levels, with one of the mid-levels being the life bars up here. It's really kind of a weird thing. It's almost like it gets further back as you go towards the top of the screen because the characters stand out. And a lot of times it doesn't even really look like they're standing on the ground because they're standing out and the ground itself may be at a further back level. It's not one of the best examples of 3DS 3D technology. You want to do that, you're probably looking at something like Super Street Fighter 4 3D Edition, which is a really, really good example of a fighting game in 3D. Of course, I'm not going to be able to show it at all here because it's not in 3D on this screen. Anyway, so that's our 3DS version. Let's set this off to the side for a moment. Bring down the Vita version. Vita, of course, I've got it set in standby. To take it off of standby, again, it's a touch screen here. Again, seeing all the different menu options. I'm going to go up to training, just like I just did. Try to use the right buttons here. Click it over to... whoop, see, I was starting to do it already. Hitting the wrong buttons. You do see longer load times with the Vita version by far compared to what you see on the 3DS version. Gonna go to a Jin, choosing with A, so our color scheme winds up the same. Go to Bang. You see, you can already tell the screen is significantly brighter, nicer, more vivid. Whoops. There we go. Same music and everything. I'm going to turn the music up here. You can already tell the music is quite a bit louder than it is on the 3DS. Now our video plays. Much clearer. Also, I believe a tiny bit wider, but I haven't actually measured it myself. It's definitely a bigger screen. I think it's bigger because it is a slightly wider screen. More so than just the height dimension. Height is increased, but the width is certainly increased quite a bit more. So both are increased, but one more so than the other. There we go. Alright. Now, again, very nice, very bright. You can play this game with either your analog stick over here, or with your D-pad, which is nice. The D-pad is actually in line with the face buttons. Yeah, another one over here, but it's used for like functions, just like the circle pad is on the 3DS. Now, of course, the biggest thing about this is just to be able to make a comparison graphically between the two. Is there a significant difference? It might be a little hard to see, but we'll see. We'll see if we can do this. I'll put the two here together, hopefully without dropping the 3DS off the edge of this hamper here. Now, again, the size of the screen, significant difference. The animation is also quite a bit better in terms of its flow on the Vita as opposed to the 3DS screen. If you look really closely, which is going to be kind of hard to do here, there's a little more pixelation on the 3DS version, or I guess you could say the lines look smoother on the Vita version. And of course, there are some color scheme choices. There are much more subtle color variants on the Vita version than there are on the 3DS, but I'm not sure if that's because of which version of the game it is, or if it's because of the actual system. That I can't say. They actually both play very, very well and very similarly. It's just the look that's a bit different here. I'm sure the Vita is probably about ready to go into a standby mode here. On the Vita, you'd have to actually go to a pause menu for a command list rather than this. So a cool game on both systems. It's much more comfortable to play on the Vita version, and of course it's Extend. There you go, going into standby, because it's got the extra features from that new version of the game. But on the 3DS, it is a solid fighter if you can handle the slight cramping to your hand because you're using the teeny tiny D-pad. BlazBlue Continuum Shift II, definitely one that you would want to pick up if you're a fighting game fan and you have a Nintendo 3DS or a PlayStation Vita. Thanks for watching. I hope that comparison does you some good as you are shopping for new systems.